Very good morning, students. Now we continue that lesson. Already finished linguistic diversity. Now going to see the cultural diversity. The term cultural refers to customs and practices of people, their language, their dress code, cuisine, religion, social habits, music, art, and architecture. So underline this that the customs means what and all it is including their language, their dress code, cuisine, religion, social habits, music, art and architecture. The culture of a group of people are reflected in their social behavior and interactions. The group identity fostered by social patterns is unique to a group. Art and architecture are an integral part of every community. It develops as a part of culture and tradition of a community. Each of the 28 states and 9 union territories of India has rich traditions and unique ways of artistic expressions. So, how many states we have? We have 28 states and 9 union territories. So, in that states and that union territories, they have their own architecture, art, languages. Yes. So now see the next one. Popular dances and music of India. In ancient times, dance was considered as a way to celebrate, worship, and also as a gesture of thanks, giving, and joy. Dances of India reflect its cultural richness. Music and dance go hand in hand. There are several styles of music practiced in India. The Hindustani music, Carnatic music, classical Tamil music, folk music, Lavani, Ghazal are some of them. So understood what are that several types, styles of music practiced in India? The Hindustani music, Carnatic music, classical music, folk music, Lavani, Ghazal. Okay, there are songs from various languages composed by blending these different forms of music. See the picture. So, dancers of different states. So, in North India, in Uttar Pradesh, they are dancing Kathak, Assam, Satria, Manipur, Manipuri, Odisha, Odissi, Andhra Pradesh, Kuchipudi, Tamil Nadu, Bharatanatyam, Kerala, Kathakali, Karnataka, Yakshagana. So these are the form styles of dances. Some states are not celebrating. So they are practicing the styles of dances. Now see the different folk dances in India. In Tamil Nadu, Karagatam, Oilatam, Gummi, Terukute, Bommalatam, Puliyatam, Kolatam and Tappatam. So in Kerala, the folk dances are Teyyam and Mohiniyattam. In Punjab, Bhangra dance, Gujarat, Garba and Dandiya, Rajasthan, Kalibelia and Gumar, in Uttar Pradesh, Raslila, Uttarakhand, Cholia, and in Assam, Bihu. These are the folk dances of each state. So, unity in diversity. What it meaning? Though diversity is visible in every aspect of life in India, we are united by the spirit of patriotism. Symbols such as the national flag and national anthem remind use of our great nation and the need to stay united. Celebration of landmark events such as Independence Day, Republic Day, and Gandhi Jayanti every year bring us together and keep the spirit of one nation alive within us. So, which bringing that spirit of our nation to every people, every citizen, it is Independence Day, Republic Day, and the Gandhi Jayanti. All throughout that India, we are celebrating every year with a unity. India has a multicultural society. India evolved as a single nation through common beliefs, customs, and cultural practices. The freedom struggle and the drafting of our constitution stands as ample evidence to the spirit of unity of India. You understood that lesson? So now see what are the points we learn. So just we recapture that lesson. India is the land of unity in diversity. Diversity is a state of being different from each other. Landforms and climate have an impact on diversity. Physical features and climatic conditions determine the economic activities of a region. Diversity in landforms also impacts the flora and fauna of a region. Linguistic, religious, social, and cultural diversity exists in India. India is a subcontinent with all the physical features of a continent. According to Census of India 2001, India has 122 major languages and 1599 other languages. Culture refers to social behavior and practices of a particular society. Classical and folk dances of India exhibit the rich cultural diversity in India. So that lesson is over. You write the classwork what I send the PDF to you. Okay, finish the classwork and send it for the correction. Now see that next lesson. Next lesson in history, Indus civilization. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about the Indus, how Indus civilization is related to other contemporary civilizations. To understand the urban nature of Indus civilization, to know the lifestyle of the people of the civilization, to identify and study the major sites of Indus civilization, to mark their geographical location in maps. So these are the points we are going to learn in this lesson. See that timeline of that each period they have each civilizations. Okay, so Chinese civilization is started from 1700 to 1122 BC. Egyptian civilization is started from 3100 to 1100 BC. Indus civilization is started from 3300 to 1900 BC, and Mesopotamian civilization is started from 3500 to 2000 BC. This is the timeline of the civilizations. Okay, so now see that lesson. Initially, people lived in groups. Then they formed communities out of these groups. Then evolved the societies, which in due course become civilizations. So, why did people settle near rivers? People preferred to settle near the rivers for the reason given below. Why they settled there? The soil is fertile, fresh water is available for drinking, watering livestock, and irrigation. An easy movement of people and good is possible. So they are settled near the rivers. Discovery of a lost city. So first one is Harappa. The ruins of Harappa were first described by the British East India Company soldier and explorer Charles Mason in his book. When he visited the northwest frontier province, which is now in Pakistan, he came across some mysterious brick mounds. He wrote that he saw a ruined brick castle with very high walls and towers built on a hill. This was the earliest historical record of the existence of Harappa. So, which is the record, first historical record? Ruined brick castle with very high walls and towers built on a hill. So, underline the first historical record. In 1856, when engineers laid a railway line connecting Lahore to Karachi, they discovered more burned bricks. Without understanding their significance, they used the bricks for laying the railroad. In the 1920s, archaeologists began to excavate the sites of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. They unearthed the remains of these long forgotten cities. In 1924, the Director General of ASI, Sir John Marshall, found many common features between Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. He concluded that they were part of a large civilization. So, who is the archaeologist first to find out these sites? Sir John Marshall. So, he is the Director General of ASI. Some slight differences are found in the earthenwares of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. This made the researchers conclude that Harappa was older than Mohenjo-daro. So, what is the expansion of ASI? Archaeological Survey of India. So, when it is started? It started in 1861. Who is a surveyor? Alexander Cunningham. So, this located, that headquarters is located in New Delhi. So, how do archaeologists explore the lost city? How they find out that? Archaeologists study the physical objects such as bricks, stones, or bits of broken pottery to ascertain the location of the city and time that it belonged to. They search the ancient literary sources for references about the place. They look at aerial photographs of the excavation sites or cities to understand the topography. To see under the ground, they may use a magnetic scanner. The presence and absence of archaeological remains can be detected by radar and remote sensing method. So, see the sites of Indian borders, the Harappan civilization, Mohenjo-daro. The archaeologists found major Harappan city sites within Indian borders. So, most probably it is connected with all the places are in, most of the places in Rajasthan, Gujarat and the Pakistan side. See the time span of Indian civilization. Geographical range is a South Asia. Period is a Bronze Age period. Time 3300 to 1900 BC. Determined using a radiocarbon dating method. Area 13 lakh square kilometers. Cities 6 big cities. Village more than 200 villages are there. Okay, so what is the unique? Urban civilization, Harappan civilization is said to be urban because of following reasons. Well conceived town planning, astonishing masonry and architecture, priority for hygiene and public health, standardized weight and measures, solid agriculture and artisanal base. So the Harappan civilization is said to be urban civilization. See the picture, unique feature of Harappan civilization. So town planning is a unique feature of Indus civilization. The Harappan city had two planned areas. One is upper town and a lower town. So in upper town, the part of the city to west has higher and it was called a citadel. And in that middle one, it was used by the administrators. Then the great bath and granaries are located in the upper town. Okay, so next is in that lower town, what are the part of the city to the east was lower but larger. It was inhabited by common people. Mehrograph and a precursor to India's civilization. Megrahov is a Neolithic site. It is located near the Bolan Basin of Balochistan in Pakistan. It is one of the earliest sites known. It shows evidence of farming and herding done by man in very early times. Archaeological evidence suggests that Neolithic culture exists in Megraph as early as 7000 BC. So in that streets and houses in that Indus civilization, Mohenjo-daro, Indus civilization, that means Harappa. The streets are observed to have a grid pattern. So how they formed it is a grid pattern. Grid means in form a line. They were straight running from north to south and east to west and intersected each other at right angles. The roads were wide with rounded corners. So that is called a ring road. Houses were built on both sides of the street. The houses were either one or two stories. Most of the houses had many rooms, a courtyard and a wall. Each house had toilets and bathrooms. The houses were built using baked bricks and mortar. Sun-dried bricks were also used. Most of the bricks were of uniform size. Roofs were flat. There is no conclusive evidence of the presence of palaces or places of worship. So in that Harappan civilization, there is no worships, temples or mosque or church. Nothing is there. There is no any kingdoms. So that means palaces. So next one is a drainage system. First one we saw that about the streets and houses. Now see the drainage system. Many of these sites had covered drains. The drains were covered with a slab or bricks. Each drain had a gentle slope so that water could flow. Holes were provided at regular intervals to clear the drains. So this is that. So now we are telling as a Padala Chakadai. We are telling no in Tamil. Now only our government is started to do this drainage system to each villages and each cities. House drains passed below many lanes before finally emptying into the main drains. Every house had its own soak pit which collected all the sediments and allowed only the water to flow into the street drain. So that is the drainage system. Okay, now see the great bath. It is in Mohenjo-daro. The Great Bath was a large rectangular tank in a country yard. It may be the earliest example of a waterproof structure. அதாவது நம்ம சொல்கிறோம் இல்லையா குளம் குட்டைகள் சொல்கிறோம் இல்லையா ஸோ in that many the temples it have a pond, is it? So that pond they are built in that country yard. Okay, it is a rectangular tank. The bath was lined with bricks coated with plaster and made watertight using layers of natural bitumen. There were steps on the north and south leading into the tank. There were rooms on three sides. Water was drawn from the well located in the courtyard and drained out after use. Next one, the Great Granary. It is at Harappa. The granary was a massive with a solid brick foundation. So see, this is the granary. Granaries were used to store food grains. The remains of wheat, barley, millet, sesame and pulses have been found there. So what is granary? How it is built there? The granary with the walls made of mud bricks which are still in a good condition has been discovered in Rakigahi, a village in Haryana belong to Matur Harappan phase. Next, see the assembly hall. The assembly hall was another huge public building at Mohenjo-daro. It was a multi-pillared hall. So it is have nearly 20 pillars in a row to support the roof. Next one, trade and transport. Harappans were great traders. Standardized weights and measures were used by them. They used sticks with marks to measure length. They used carts with spokeless solid wheels. There is evidence for extensive maritime trade with Mesopotamia. Indus seals have been found as far as Mesopotamia, which are modern day Iraq, Kuwait, and parts of Syria. So Mesopotamian civilization. So Mesopotamian means which are now which countries? Iraq, Kuwait, and parts of Syria. That is the Mesopotamian places. King Naram-Sin of Akkadian Empire, that means Sumerian, bought jewelry from the land of Meluka. So that means a region of Indus Valley was mentioned in an epic regarding Naram-Sin. Cylindrical seals similar to those found at Persian Gulf and Mesopotamia have also been found in the Indus area. This shows the trade links between these two areas. A naval dockyard has been discovered in Lothal in Gujarat. It shows the maritime activities of the Indus people. So now see the dockyard at Lothal. So that Lothal is in Gujarat. Lothal is situated on the bank of a tributary of Sabarmati river in Gujarat. So leader in Mohenjo-daro. A sculpture of a seated male has been unearthed in a building with a headband on the forehead and a smaller ornament on the right upper arm. His hair is carefully combed and beard finely trimmed. Two holes beneath the ears suggest that the head ornament might have been attached till the ear. The left shoulder is covered with a shawl like a garment decorated with a design of flowers and rings. This shawl pattern is used by people even today in those areas. Next is technology. Indus people had developed a system of standardized weights and measures. Ivory scale found in Lothal in Gujarat is 1704 millimeter, the smallest division ever recorded on a scale of other contemporary civilizations. So what is the word civilization? Comes from the ancient Latin word civis, which means city. So it is a civilization. See, this is the map. So this is the map of Harappan Mohenjo-daro civilizations. See the map in Pakistan. So Mohenjo-daro, Ganvaribala, Rakigagi, Harappa. So all the civilizations are in Pakistan. Next up. Do you know the hidden treasure of Indus civilization? Some treasures are hidden in that Indus civilization. So in that inscriptions, that means written scripts, can provide information about customs, practices and other aspects of any place or time. So far the Indus script has not been deciphered. Therefore, we must look for other clues to know about the Indus people and their lifestyle. Still enough, we are not get any script or written scripts from the to know about the Indus civilization. So, how we know that we are getting some clues? Okay. So that only it is explaining about the lifestyle of the Indus people. So in that first one is apparel. Apparel means it is a cotton fabric were in common use. Clay spindles unearthed suggest that yarn was spun. Wool was also used. Next one, love and peace. Settlements were built on giant platforms and elevated grounds. The Indus civilization seems to have been a peaceful one. Few weapons were found and there is no evidence of an army. They displayed their status with garments and precious jewelry. They had an advanced civic sense. Now about that ornaments. Ornaments were popular among men and women. They adorned themselves with a necklace, armlets, bangles, finger rings, ear studs and anklets. The ornaments were made of gold, silver, ivory, shell, copper, terracotta and precious stones. Horse and iron were unknown to the people of Indus. Copper was the first metal discovered and used by humans. India's people used the red quartz stone called the carnelian to design jewelry. The governed them. Who governed them? Historians believe that there existed a central authority that controlled the planning of towns and overseas trade, maintenance of drainage, and peace in the system. What is that occupation? The main occupation of the Indus civilization people is not known. However, agriculture, handicrafts, pottery making, jewelry making, weaving, carpentry, and trading were practiced. There were merchants, traders, and artisans. Rearing of cattle was another occupation. People of those times knew how to use the potter's wheel. They reared domesticated animals also. So how they preparing that pottery? The pottery was practiced using the potter's wheel. It was well fired. Potteries were red in color with beautiful designs in black. The broken pieces of pottery have animal figures and geometric designs on it. Then, religious belief. We don't have any evidences pointing to specify deities of their religious practices. There might have been worship of mother goddess, which symbolized fertility, which is concluded based upon the excavation of several female figures. Toy culture. Toys like a carts, cow with a movable heads and limbs, clay balls, tiny doll, a small clay monkey, terracotta squirrels eating a nut, clay dogs, and a male dancer have been found. They made various types of toys using terracotta, which show that they enjoyed playing. So, what happened to Harappa? By 1900 BCE, the Harappa culture had started declining. It is assumed that the civilization met with repeated floods, ecological changes, invasions, natural calamities, climatic changes, deforestation, and epidemic. So this is the reasons to the declining of Harappan civilization. Some general facts about the Indus civilization. It is among the oldest in the world. It is also the largest among four ancient civilizations. The world's first planned cities are found in this civilization. The Indus also had advanced sanitation and drainage system. There was a high sense of awareness on public health. See what are the points we learn in this lesson. One just little recapture. When man began to live in a settled life, it marked the dawn of civilization. River valleys were responsible for the growth of civilization. Harappan culture was mainly urban in nature. Cities were well planned with covered drainage and straight wide roads cutting each other at right angles. The people of that time had great engineering skills. The Great Bath is one of the earliest public tank. The civilization extended from Makran coast of Balochistan in the west, Gagar Kakra River Valley in the east, Afghanistan in the northeast, Maharashtra in the south. So, this is the lesson. These are the points in this lesson we read. So, understood this lesson. So, after finishing that civics question answers, you write this question answers in the classwork. So, I want to finish that history portion today itself. So, we see the next lesson. So, lesson unit 4, Ancient Cities of Tamilagam. So, in this lesson, we are going to learn about the greatness of town of ancient Tamilagam, to know about Boombahar, Madurai and Kanchi, and to understand the ancient kingdoms of Tamilagam, and to gain knowledge about the crafts, markets, manufactures, maritime trade, education and water management in ancient Tamilagam. So in this lesson we are going to learn only about the Tamil Nadu. Okay. See the lesson? It is a government higher secondary school reciprocating the greetings of the students of 6th standard. The social science teacher signals them to get seated. Teacher, wow, you look pretty in your new dress, Tamilini. Students, ma'am, today is her birthday. Teacher, wish you happy birthday, Tamilini. Many more happy returns of the day. Tamilini is thank you, ma'am. Teacher, okay, children, shall we start today's class from Tamilini's birthday? How come, ma'am? What is the connection between Tamilini's birthday and today's class? Teacher, there is. I shall come to that later. Let us stand up and wish her first. Students, everyone is wishing Tamilini happy birthday, Tamil. So, Tamilini is read. Thank you all. Tamil, is Chennai your hometown? So, she is telling, no ma'am, my hometown is Kadavur near Karur. Good. Do you have the habit of visiting your hometown? Yes, ma'am. Every summer I visited my hometown. Teacher, excellent. Can you tell me the difference between Kadavur and Chennai? So, what is the difference? Kadavur is a village, Chennai is a city. So, teacher is telling excellent. So, again she is telling to her, can you tell what were the earliest planned cities of ancient India? So, students are telling Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, ma'am. Yes, very good children. Today we are going to study about the ancient town of Tamilagam. They are Bhumbukar, Madurai, Kanchi. Shall we start? Okay, ma'am. See, we have started today's lesson with Tamilini's birthday. Yes, ma'am. Teacher. Like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro is ancient India. There were famous towns in ancient Tamilagam too. So, like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro is that ancient cities of India. But that same as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. So, in Tamilagam also many ancient cities are there. So, that's Bhumbukar, Madurai, Kanchi. Okay. Tamil literature, accounts of foreign travelers and archaeological finds provide us information about the ancient towns of Tamilagam. So, in that places, first one comes in place, Bhumbukar. Bhumbukar is one of the oldest towns in ancient Tamilagam. This is the place where well-known characters of Silappatikaram, Kovalan and Kannagi lived. It was also a port town along with the Bay of Bengal. The ports were established for facilitating maritime trade. Even in times past, countries began to export their surplus products and import their scarce commodities by sea. Bhumbukar is one such historic port that emerged in the wake of increasing maritime trade. It is a coastal town near the present-day Mayiladuthurai and is located where the river Kaveri drains into the sea. Bhumbukar city. So it is a port. Bhumbukar was also known by names such as Buhar and Kaveri Pattanam. It served as the port of the early Chola kingdom. One of the popular Sangam literature, Pattinappalai and Tamil epics Silappatikaram and Manimegalai have references to the brisk sea-borne trade that took place in the port city Puhar. Silappatikaram in particular speaks about the greatness of Bhumbukar. The lead female character of Silapadikaram is Kannagi. So she is the main heroine of this story. Her father is Manai, Manaigan. Sea traders are known by the name Manaigan. The male character Kovalan's father is Masatuvan. Masatuvan means a big trader. It is clear from the text that Bombahar was a place where big traders and sea traders had settled down. Numerous merchants were from foreign countries such as Greece and Rome landed at Bombahar. Due to busy and continuous trade, many of them stayed on indefinitely in Bombahar. There are evidences of foreigner settlements in the town. People speaking many languages inhabited Bombahar in its glorious days. As the loading and unloading of ships took some months, the foreign traders began to interact with the local people during that period. This enabled the natives to learn foreign languages for communication. Similarly, the foreigners also learned Tamil to communicate with the natives. This contact facilitated not only exchange of goods but also languages and ideas, resulting in cultural blending. The traders of Bhumbkar were known for their honesty and integrity. They sold goods at legitimate prices. Pattinapalai states that selling any commodity at a higher price was considered bad. The author of Pattinapalai, Kadiyalur Uttaranganar, belonged to 2nd century BC. This is indicative of Buha's antiquity. Horses were imported by sea. Pepper was procured through the land route. Gold that came from Vadamalai was polished and exported to the overseas countries. Sandal from Western Ghats, pearls from Southern Seas, corals from Eastern Sea, and food items from Elam were imported. That means cardamom. Elam means cardamom. Bhumbahar had been built differently from other towns. Each social group had a separate settlement. Streets were broad and straight, dotted with well designed houses. There was also a dockyard. We can learn about the life of the people of Puhar by reading Pattinapalai and Puhar Kantam of Silapadikaram. Puhar was a busy port up to 200 AD. It might have been either washed away by sea or destroyed by big shore waves. The remains of that destruction can still be seen in the present Bhumbahar town. So now we are going to see about the Madurai. Madurai has been one of the oldest cities in India. Its antiquity can be understood from the sobriquet Sangam Valartha Nagaram it has earned. So what that Madurai called as? Madurai called as Sangam Valartha Nagaram. Pandyas, the Cholas, and later the Kalabras ruled Madurai in the ancient period. During medieval times, later Cholas and later Pandyas, followed by the Nayakas, ruled this historic town. This has resulted in cultural blending. Trade flourished, and evidence for this has been unearthed in archaeological excavation done in Kiyadi near Madurai. Now also that excavation is going on in the Kiyadi. Madurai is proudly associated with the Tamil Sangam. Sangam is academies, which worked for the promotion of Tamil language. 49 poets were associated with the last Sangam. A hill fragrant wood was brought from Port Tondi to Madurai. King Solomon of ancient Israel imported pearls from Uvari near the Pandian port Korkai. A mint of Roman coins was present at Madurai. The coins of other countries were also minted at Madurai. Mint, which is a proof for the glory of Madurai. The fame of Madurai is attested by the accounts of the Greek historian Megasthenes. Chanakya, Chandragupta's minister, makes a mention of Madurai in the book of Arthashastra. In the moat around the town, tunnels had been constructed in such a way that even elephants could comfortably enter. Understood about Madurai? Now see the Kanchi. So that is Kanchipuram. A place of learning is called school. Several schools were established in great numbers for the first time in Kanchipuram. Jains studied in Jainapalli and Buddhist studies in Vikas. The greatness of Kanchi as an educational center can be understood from the fact that the Chinese traveler Hian Tizong, who studied at Nalanda, University, visited Kanchi Kadikai to pursue his further studies. Poet Kalidasa says Kanchi is the best of the towns. Tamil poet Saint Tirunavukkarasar praises Kanchi as Kalviyil Karalitha Kanchi. Kalviyil Karailada Kanchi. Kalviyil Karailada Kanchi. Hian Tizang remarked that Kanchi can be counted as one among the 7 sacred places like Bodh Gaya and Sanchi. Kanchi is the oldest town of Tondai Nadu. Scholars like Dharmapala, Jodhibalar, Sumati and Bodhidharmar were born in Kanchi. Kanchi is also known as the Temple City, the famous temple of great architectural beauty. Kailasanatha temple was built by later Pallava king Rajasimha at Kanchi. During the Pallava period, a large number of cave temples were built. The Buddhist monk Manimekalai spent the last part of her life at Kanchi speaks highly of that town. Water management played an important role in the agrarian society of those times. Hundreds of lakes were created for storing water around the town of Kanchi. These lakes were well connected with the canals. During the later period, Kanchi came to be known as the district of lakes. Water management skills of the ancient Tamils can be understood from the construction of Kallanai in the Chola country and the lakes and canals in Kanchi. Apart from Bhumbakar, Madurai and Kanchi, there were other towns too in ancient Tamilagam. Korkai, Vanchi, Tondi, Urayur, Musiri, Karur, Mamallapuram, Tanchai, Tagadur and Kayal. are some of them. By conducting archaeological research, more information can be gathered about these places. Thank you, students. With this, we shall complete this lesson now. So, in Tamil saying represent the unique of each ancient Tamil kingdoms. What are that? Cholanadu, Pandyanadu, Cheranadu, Tondainadu. So, in Cholanadu, Sorudaitai. Sorudai, Sorudaitu means rice in abundance. Pandyanadu, Muttudaitu. So, Muttudaitu means Muttu means pearls. In Cheranadu, Vedamudaithu. Veda means elephant. Tondai Nadu, Saran Sandrorudaithu. Sandror means scholars. So that Cheranadu comprised Malayalam speaking regions and the Tamil districts of Coimbatore, Nilgiri, Karur, Kanyakumari and some parts of present Kerala. Cholanadu, present day Tanjavur, Tiruvarur, Nagai, Trichy and Pudukottai districts. Pandyanadu, as well composite Madurai, Ramanathapuram, Sivagangai, Thuthukudi and Tirunelveli. Tondai Nadu, present day Kanchipuram, Dharmapuri, Tiruvallur, Tiruvannamalai, Vellur and northern parts of Viluppuram districts. So now see what are the recapture, what are the points we learn in this lesson. Madurai, Kanchi and Bhumbukar are famous towns of ancient Tamilagam. We know about the life of the people of Bhumbukar by reading Silapadikaram and Pattinapalai. Madurai is associated with three Sangams. Kanchi was an educational center. Many great scholars were associated with it. Kanchi, known as a city of temples, was also known for water management. Thank you, children. So after finishing that civics, you finish this history 2 lessons. Understood? So and send the classwork for correction as soon as possible. Okay, don't be delay. Thank you, children.